There were a whole lot that happened after the death of the Rasul. The events leading even to the burial, that the burial of the Prophet was delayed for some days. And then came the issue of the leadership vacuum that the death of the Prophet ﷺ created within the Ummah of Islam. And all of what happened before Abubakr was agreed upon to lead the Ummah after the Rasul. So he became Khalifa to Rasulullah ﷺ. He became the Caliph immediately after the demise of the Prophet. He faced a whole lot of challenges, but I will just hint on about three. The first of the challenges that he was faced with is the challenge of Jam'ul Quran fi Mashafin Wahid, that he compiled the Quran into one single book. There were a number of events that happened after the death of the Prophet. Some of the companions who were Hufaz, who had memorized the entire Quran at that time, they were involved in certain battles, and many of them were lost. And at some point, he was encouraged by Umar to compile the Quran, and initially he hesitated that why will I do something that the Prophet ﷺ did not do? And that speaks to the fact that even Abubakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu was from the foremost of the Prophet, of the companions of the Prophet, that were insistent upon following the Sunnah of the Rasul. So he never wanted to do something in the religion that Muhammad ﷺ never did. Even as inconsequential, if you want to put it that way, as compiling the Quran. Because the Quran was revealed. There was no expectation of new verses will be revealed after the death of the Rasul. So what he was only encouraged to do was to compile. But he felt, okay, why should I do something that the Prophet did not do? Even though the Prophet had done something of that like, but not in, in the skill at which Abu Bakr needed to do. Because since the Prophet had not died, there was always a possibility that there could be verses that will be revealed. So compiling the Quran during the time of the Prophet into a single book would not have happened. Because there could always be the possibility that verses will still be revealed even when the Prophet was alive. So he was encouraged, and eventually he heeded the advice. So that was the very first challenge, the challenge that he was faced with as the leader of the Muslims. The second challenge that he faced is the challenge of the dissenters, people that apostatized from Islam because they felt that the death of the Prophet ﷺ was going to lead to the death of Islam as they had expected. But that was not the case. So there were people that also rejected and felt that they were not going to render to the Muslim state the kind of rights or responsibilities that they rendered during the time of the Prophet, like paying the zakah. So we had some amongst the people that revolved paying the zakah. And Abu Bakr at this point in time, he had to commission an army in order to fight against them. There was some hesitation amongst the companions that, okay, they were Muslims, are you going to fight against the Muslims? And Abu Bakr exhibited that courage of leadership, that anyone that makes a differentiation between Salah and Zakah, I will fight against them. So he fought against them and brought them back to the fold of Islam. So the third was also the challenge of the expansion of the Muslim state. So during the Khilafah of Abu Bakr Siddiq, Islam expanded to Iraq and also to Sham, the Levant, which comprises of today's Jordan and Syria and all of those countries. So it was during his Khilafah that Islam spread to all of those provinces. And that also speaks to a lot of challenge. You know, if you have to conquer all of those big nations, it only speaks to the quality of his leadership. Something so major had happened, and that was the death of the Rasul. And just 2 years, within 2 years after the death of the Prophet, you will have been able to gather the thoughts of the Muslim, bring them back into the same fold on a unified front, and also expand the coast of Islam to those regions. So those were indeed very major events and challenges that he faced as the Caliph of the Rasul. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I would like to answer this question with a statement of the Prophet ﷺ when he was speaking about leadership and the importance of leaders being concerned about the affairs of those whom they lead. So aside from the fact that the Prophet had mentioned, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعِي وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ, that all of you are leaders in some ways, and you are all going to be questioned with respect to your flock. So the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned that خِيَارُ أَئِمَّتِكُمْ الَّذِينَ تُحِبُّونَهُمْ وَيُحِبُّونَكُمْ تُصَلُّونَ عَلَيْهِمْ وَيُصَلُّونَ عَلَيْكُمْ. He says the best of your leaders are those whom you love and who love you, whom you pray for and who pray for you. So that speaks to the qualities of leadership. Unfortunately, you see today, many, especially in Nigeria, or the disposition of many of us, when we engage with our leaders, is that you curse them. You curse your leaders. You rain the curses of Allah upon them. They too, they don't like their followers. But that was not the case of Abubakr. And that is a big lesson for us to learn with respect to the life of Abubakr Siddiq. He was loved by the companions. Every one of them submitted to his leadership. Every one of them. Because they knew the quality that was made of. He was the best friend of the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he stood firmly with the Prophet. And he was foremost in everything that was good. Such that he used to pray for the Ummah. He had the good intent of the Ummah at heart. So that's one big quality for us to learn from the leadership of Abu Bakr. He loved the people, he prayed for them, and he sought the best, the comforts and the well-being of his subjects. You will see from the statement of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu that he was extremely humble. Even though it is agreed upon that Abu Bakr is the best of this ummah. Say, خَيْرُ هَذِهِ الْأُمَّةِ بَعْدَ نَبِيِّهَا Abu Bakr. The best of this ummah after the Prophet was Abu Bakr Siddiq. But when he was engaging with the companions, he was extremely humble. Such that even when he ascended the leadership of the Ummah, he was telling them that I have been made the leader over you, even though I am not the best amongst you. So that shows how he saw himself. But the rest of the companions actually saw him to be the best amongst them because of his qualities. But that's something that is quite lacking today. If you see yourself to be the servant of the people you lead, it also is going to make firm in your heart those qualities of empathy. Abu Bakr had empathy for his people, for the companions, for the Ummah. And that's why he humbled himself. Unfortunately today in our society, we see leaders that see themselves as lords over their subjects. Abu Bakr never saw himself as a lord over the other companions, even though he had every reason to want to exhibit that trait. But because of his humility, he understood that the position that he's holding is but a trust that is going to be questioned about. So he never saw himself as better than any one of the companions, even though literally he was the best amongst them. So there is a whole lot for our leaders to learn from the leadership qualities and the leadership traits of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. So the question that if Abu Bakr were to be Nigeria's president today, what policies will I love that he should prioritize? If Abu Bakr was the president, first, I will be the happiest. And the Ummah will not be the way it is today. And now that's not to take anything away from the current president of the Federal Republic. But Abu Bakr is the best of this Ummah. If he were to be the president, he would pretty much pursue the same policies that the Prophet ﷺ pursued, or the policies that he pursued whilst he led the Ummah. The first and most important was Tawheed. He was a person of faith. He called people towards Tawheed with everything that he had, with his wealth, with his life. He called people to Islam with everything that he had. So one very important thing is calling people back to the path of Allah, not just the success of the earthly life. but a combination between the success of the earthly life and also the hereafter. So he was a leader that wanted the best for the people he led, with respect to their dunya and with respect to their akhirah. Unfortunately, leaders we have today, they are only concerned about the dunya. And they are not doing so much good with respect to even meeting up with that particular goal which they have set for themselves. Abubakr was not only calling people to the good of the dunya. What was most important to him is what the people will meet with when they come before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. So for me, the policy will be the same. It calls to the path of Allah and also social well-being. Abubakr was someone that was very particular about the well-being of the Muslims. He was concerned about their affairs, whether they were in Mecca, they were in Medina, everywhere the Muslims were. Abu Bakr, as the Caliph of the Rasul was concerned about their affairs. So our leaders also should take a cue. Aside from calling people to Tawheed, we should also be concerned about the affairs of the Muslims. It's something that is very important. We need to be concerned about the affairs of our brothers, whether they are here in the country or outside of the country. It's something that is very important. If I should describe Abu Bakr in 3 words, so first will be truthfulness. So that's a Siddiq from his name. Honesty and conviction. Those are 3 very important words. He was honest, he was truthful, and he was convinced of the message or the mission which he has set for himself. Lesser known. So that's a very tough question. Lesser known trait of Abu Bakr Siddiq. I'm not sure. Because Abu Bakr, aside from the fact that he was a friend of the Rasul, one very important thing, so maybe I should speak to this, is the fact that it was foremost in everything that was good. There was a day that the Prophet ﷺ came into the masjid and was with the companions. And he was asking question. He asked the question, which one amongst you is fasting today? Abu Bakr was the only person that was fasting. The Prophet asked again, which one amongst you has followed a funeral procession today? And Abu Bakr was the only one that had followed a funeral procession. And the Prophet asked him again, asked the companions, which one amongst you has fed a poor person today? None of the companions had done it, other than Abu Bakr Siddiq. Wallah. Umar ibn Khattab said, at that point I felt that there is nobody that will be able to meet up with this person. It's something rare about him. You know, it's always good. Oftentimes we talk about people having or trying to mine the qualities of where they have comparative advantage in. And it's part of what I even encourage people in the congregation here. Try to know yourself. Know areas you have comparative advantage. Some might be in recitation of the Quran. Some might be in spending on the poor. Some might be in maybe assisting some of the causes of Islam. But you know you are negligent in some things, but you are very dutiful in some things. But you cannot say that about Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr was almost in all things. So much so that the Prophet says that on the day of judgment, all of the gates of the paradise will be open and beckoning on Abu Bakr to enter through them. And when he eventually enters through one, that particular gate will be boasting that he entered through him and not through the rest of the gates. That's something rare about Abu Bakr. It's quite rare. We are only praying for ourselves that Allah should admit us into the paradise. Even if one of the gates were to open for us, that would have been a lot of benefit, virtue. But at the gates, all of the gates of paradise will open and be beckoning on Abu Bakr to come in through them into the paradise. Is something that is rare. It's something that is rare. And that speaks to the status of this particular companion. Now.